So we had a bunch of questions that just asked, how much life insurance do I need, and how do I go about finding out how much I need, and how can I figure that out? So can you answer, are there places that you can direct people or general rules of thumb before they enter into a conversation with a life insurance agent?
I'm glad that question came first, because that is by far, head and shoulders, the most important question we're going to deal with today, the how much question. How much is the right amount? I often, when I'm training new agents, I often talk about this in the following context. I talk about if you were to, say, screw up your car insurance. Let's say you go out tomorrow morning and your car's not there, and you parked it in your garage and you knew it was there. And well, I think my car was stolen. And first call you're going to make is the police. I think my car was stolen. And the police say, yeah, we got 14 calls in your neighborhood for stolen cars, and nothing we can do about it. The cars are on their way to Brazil. We'll never get them back. Call your car insurance guy. You call your car insurance guy and you say, hey, car insurance guy, I think my car was stolen. He's like, good, let me call you back in a minute. He calls you back and he says, Michelle, I got a little problem. That bill we sent you 6 weeks ago, you didn't pay it. And then we sent you a late notice 4 weeks ago, you didn't pay that. And then we sent you a lapse notice 2 weeks ago, you ignored that. I thought you left me and went to another car insurance company, but apparently you didn't. But we don't have your money, so your policy actually has lapsed. You have no coverage. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to probably get through it, because you're here, you're working, you'll buy another car, you'll have 2 car payments for a while, you won't make that mistake again, but it's a mistake you can recover from. With life insurance, if you don't get the right amount, there really is no second bite at this apple. You've got to get it right the first time. So the importance of getting the right amount is truly, we treat that with the most focus of anything we do here, because if you get the wrong kind but you have the right amount, it's okay, because it's how much you get when you die. That's what the death benefit is all about. So again, let's talk about how we determine the amount. There's a number of ways to do it. There are an infinite number of needs calculators online, both on our website, on the Life Happens website. There are rules of thumb, which I've never been real fond of, because rules of thumb are very relatively inflexible. They don't do a great job of really zoning in on the right number, the right amount. I do have a couple of gut check questions I like to ask clients when they're thinking about how much is the right amount. I ask them a question and say, well, I do tell them that before I ask them this question, I will say to them, it's very obvious that life insurance cannot replace a mother or a father or a husband or a wife. It's just not possible. Life insurance isn't that powerful. But what it can do, if you allow it to do, is to replace the economic value of a human life. So what was that life going to be worth to one's family? If one party's, nowadays there's often 2 breadwinners in a family, sometimes there's just one. Replacing what that person would have earned for the rest of their life is still going to be a loss, because you're going to lose the person isn't there anymore. They're not there to do their mother and father and husband and wife things. But we can replace that economic value. So how do we determine the economic value? One way, non-scientific way, I ask clients, if I were to write you a check right now for, if I were to write you a check for the amount of life insurance you're thinking about buying, let's say you make $80,000 or say you make $60,000, and I say to you, I will write you a check right now for the $500,000 worth of life insurance that you're asking me to acquire for you. I'll just write you a check for $500,000 tax-free dollars right now. If I did that, would you agree to work the rest of your life for no pay? And most people think about that not very long, and they say, heck no, that doesn't sound like a good deal, because I'm only 34 years old, and 34 years old, $500,000, one payment, I'm making $60,000 a year, I intend to get raises all the way through. It doesn't work. And so the rule of thumb of 10 times income or 8 times income or 12 times income, it really doesn't work very well. It doesn't adequately replace the economic value of a human life. The other question I sometimes ask is, if you went out jogging in the morning and you were waiting for the light to change, and the light changed and you're in the crosswalk and you start to cross and some truck makes a right turn and mows you down and kills you. Horrible to think about, I know. What would you think your family would sue the company of the truck driver? Would they sue them for $500,000 if you made $60,000? I mean, any good lawyer would come up with a case to say that your life was worth a whole lot more than that. forget the pain and suffering, but it doesn't really matter how you die. Your family needs a certain amount of money. If you want to use rules of thumb, I would say people in their 20s or 30s, the carriers now are being much more liberal in what they're willing to allow in terms of face amounts and the amounts of coverage, somewhere between 20 and 30 times income. If you're in your 40s or 50s, it goes down a bit because you have less years of income to still replace using life insurance. But so overall, I would say when people call in, they're generally they generally in mind have a number that is lower than the true economic value of their life. So when we educate them and let them know that you probably need more life insurance than you thought you did, that's the bad news, I suppose. You're going to have to buy more of this stuff that you never wanted to buy to begin with, and I get that. But the good news is that it's often way less expensive than anyone could ever even fathom. I mean, today a 40-year-old male non-smoker can buy $500,000 of life insurance for about 65% less than they could 25 years ago. It used to be over $1,000 for that. Now it's $350. Women are even less than that. And so you can pretty much buy any amount that you want, and it's affordable, especially in a term insurance chassis. So, there's a lot to think about there. The good news is you can buy as much as you need and really have your family protected. And, every day when people die, most people are not expecting to die on the day they died. I wish I had a nickel every time someone said, I'm not planning on dying anytime soon, so I'm not in a hurry. Heck, we don't know that. If you knew you weren't going to die for another 3 or 4 years, then call me in 3 or 4 years. But you never really know that.